Greetings, people who really like sex, drugs, alcohol, and the accordion. In my previous videos, namely numbers 22A through E and number 23, Stradella bass accordion, I talked about many different things. Some of it was a little crazy, all right? I talked about how I went from making mistakes, bloopers, to discovering easy ways to find the blues scale, all right? And I talked about the circle shortcut in particular. It's a very easy way to find a blues scale without having to memorize all the different blues scales. I talked about that. And in those videos, I went ahead, I moved forward, and I said some really crazy stuff. Some really crazy stuff, because I claim to be the only guy who talks about this stuff. Or if I'm not the only guy who talks about it, I'm at least the only guy who talks about it from this perspective, from this approach. You know, I go in and out, I weave in and out, and it's different than anybody else that I'm aware of. Excuse me, whom I'm aware of. Now, in those videos that I just mentioned, I stressed quite a few things, but the main topics were the circle of fifths, all right? I talked about that and how that affected my thinking over the years. I talked about the emphasis of the minor third interval in the harmonic series and in music in general. And I talked about the thing I kind of devised, kind of invented, the subject aggregating chord or scale relationship. I kind of made it up to help the young student see the circle of fifths differently. All right, so I talked about that. I talked about the circle of fifths itself. All right, here's our handy chart. And I talked about the harmonic series many times, and everybody's sick of it. But these two things gave me wonderful ideas. And like, as I said, I don't see anyone else talking about these things, at least from this perspective, this approach. I don't see it anywhere. All right? So I talked about that. And then, of course, there's my subject aggregating scale relationship. I'll hold that up. You can read that. It's a beautiful thing. I really like it. I think it's useful. All right? And then I blew up a little segment of the circle of fifths so you could see it clearly. I blew it up, made it larger. I know it's low technology video, but that's the best I can do. I talk about your tonal center. I talk about how the circle of fifths can designate tones, chords, or scales, or all of the above. Right? So you see already that the minor third interval plays a significant role in this whole scheme, this whole system. Now, in this video, we want to go from Mississippi to McCartney. And you say, what on God's earth could Mississippi, the Mississippi meld, which a name I kind of coined, a phrase I coined, what on God's earth could that have to do with Paul McCartney? Well, I think it does. It has something to do with it. So, when you stop, and this will be a short video, I'm not going to go on, I'm going to break it into two parts to show you something extreme, something totally radical that you likely won't hear anywhere else. You say, well, Joey, you have these systems here that you've talked about in your videos, and there's only maybe 4 or 5 people in the world using them. All right, granted, I concede. And then you have these ideas, my ideas. For example, the perfect chord, the theoretical perfect chord, subject aggregating relationship, circle shortcut, minor 7 diminished 5 shortcut, and the Mississippi melt. You see, you have these ideas, but outside of your own mind, outside of your own home, what does it mean? Is it of any value? Does it actually happen? These things you talk about over and over, do they actually happen? Are they real or just imagined? Just theoretical? And I say no. I say I can show you. I'm here in front of my little tiny phone camera showing you that this is a real thing. This is not just theory. Trying to show you that somebody has taken my ideas, unconsciously, I believe, and used them. So we want to move from the Mississippi Meld, my concept, all right, it's a phrasal concept, to Paul McCartney. And you say, can it be done? Is it even humanly possible? I say it is. And to prove it, let's look for proof. And I think the proof is right in front of us. I think the proof is hidden in plain sight. I just can't emphasize this enough. So let's look for some of Joey's concepts, all right, and see if they really actually exist. Do they actually happen in music? Well, let's look for a song that was voted one of the top 500 songs of all time. To me, it's a rock ballad. In other words, a love song, a rock ballad, one of the greatest rock ballads I think ever written. It's a masterpiece, and I think it contains and uses, inherent in this piece of music are my concepts. I think they're in the song. And the song is called, here it comes, Maybe I'm Amazed by Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney. See, we're moving from the Mississippi Meld to Paul McCartney. The song was written in 1969 and released in 1970. And I'm going to come back in the next video and I'm going to show you that I really think, and I speak from the heart, that these things I talk about aren't just crazy hallucinations of a drug-free guy. I think they are inherent in music. They're in music, they're unseen, they're hidden, and every once in a while they pop out. So we'll find out. Come back to my next video and we'll see if I'm telling the truth or not. Thank you for being patient, and good night.